I'm so thrilled to introduce this speaker. He is here to tingle each and every cell in our body and mind with his live discourse on our ancient scriptures. He is one of the most sought after speakers in English and Tamil on Sanatana Dharma, as he is well versed in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana, Vishnu Sahasranama, Bhagavad Gita, Divya Prabandha, and has learnt all these scriptures under revered preceptors. He has delivered over 2,000 live discourses in 12 countries: India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, China, Singapore, Indonesia, UAE and Kenya, and also New Zealand, Australia, Canada and USA. He is well known in most households through his discourses in Star Vijay, Jaya, DD Podigai, Polymer, Sri Shankara, Pudu Yugam and SVBC channels, television channels. He has a wide spectrum of audience following on YouTube with over 3 million views and content that run for 500 hours. Yes, you can clap. He organizes religious tours to ancient Vishnu temples in association with a leading travel agent who together have taken 600 people to 170 temples spanning 10 states and 3 countries in a 3-year period covering a distance of 10,000 miles. Ramayana in Lanka, Muktinath, Badrinath and Navadwaraka have become their hallmark tours. He conceptualizes, directs ballets on Vaishnavism in association with a leading researcher, Aranganin Padayil on Srirangam and Srinivasam Prabhadye on Tirupati have been a grand multimedia productions till date, which have received over rave reviews in the art world. He is penning the story, screenplay and dialogue for the movie Vedanta Desika, besides donning the role of the protagonist under Mukta Films. I think this also deserves a clap. He carries out restoration of ancient Vedanta Desika shrines and contributes to the society through a charitable trust called Desika Daya that he runs with a small group of volunteers. He writes for religious magazines and is currently writing a mammoth book on Ramayana to bring forth the views of philosophers, commentators and poets on this grand epic. He has released a memory chip with 220 hours of his discourses that is available for buying across certain stores and online portals. He has received awards like Young Achiever, 30 Under 30, Best Parliamentarian, Best Outgoing Student, Best Student Pupil Leader, and coveted titles like Sollin Selvan, Bhagavata Vasan from various institutions of excellence. He is an alumni of BITS Pilani with over 10 years of corporate teaching and teaching experience in big brands. Currently, he lives with his wife and parents in Bengaluru. The Hindu quotes. This young Upanyasakar has been making waves in the city. Meet the modern Upanyasakar who connects to the young Upanyasam, no longer the forte of the old and the wise. Youngsters like Dhushynth too are making it to the dais and drawing large crowds. Times of India quotes, he has already captured the minds of the spiritually inclined. Indian Express quotes, he absorbs the audience's attention with his language, popular lingos, catchphrases and subtle wits. The Asian Age quotes, an all-rounder on the road not taken. Mint quotes, instead of slaving away at his job, here is Dhushyanth and stage quality Sanskrit he has learned from one of his 5 teachers. The News Today quotes, "This young talent is all set to take a new avatar. He is a hero in a film, Vaishnavite Guru Vedanta Desika." Rediff.com also is quoting him that he is a techie in jeans after office hours. He is a upanyasakar in white veshti and angavastram with a namam on his forehead discoursing on ancient scriptures. Please welcome Mr. Dushyanth Sridhar on the stage, please.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to lend our ears to this voracious speaker, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar, on Unconditional Surrender is Insured. Over to you, sir.
दिशन्तु मे देव सदा त्वदीयाः दयातरङ्गा नुचराः कटाक्षाः श्रोत्रेषु पुंसाम् अमृतं क्षरन्तीं सरस्वतीं संश्रुतकामधेनुम्. A very good morning to the delegates here. Thank you. It gives me immense pleasure to be at a platform where people are honored for their sincerity, hard work, and intelligence. First of all, I would like to thank the quorum for having been benevolent enough to invite me here to speak. Apappo Tamil la pesuven and I'm sure there are delegates from Karnataka as well, so Kannadadallu ಕೆಲವು ವಾಕ್ಯಗಳು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. At the same time, a few phrases in Malayalam, as long as people who know Malayalam are not here. So, and then a few phrases in Telugu as well, because our country is a beautiful country of various languages. And in the current era, we need to learn to respect our mother tongue as much as we respect somebody else's mother tongue. So, that's the idea. And at the outset, again, I would like to thank the quorum for having invited me and having been so hospitable. Incidentally, we have this phrase that's very commonly used these days, Atithi Devo Bhava, which means treat your guests as God. This is the translation that's been flowing in and time out. But the beauty lies in the very word Atithi. Tithi is a word that we commonly use. People ask, "Inigena tithi? What's the tithi today?" Which means, what is the day today? Whether it is Amavasya, whether it is Paurnima, or whether it is Ashtami, Navami, and so on. This is tithi. So you know the day. So if at all, we are very merciful enough in welcoming people to our houses, even if they don't inform the tithi on which they are coming, they are called a tithi. You should not inform that person that you're coming. But today we are living in an era where we have to call that person, take an appointment, tell, okay, I'm coming, and the person will ask a survey of questions. What are you planning to eat? How much do you eat? And whether you'll bring it for me. So finally we'll end up saying that, okay, don't worry, you don't have to cook anything for me, I'm going to get it for you. So ultimately we are called atithis, but we become tithis. But the beauty lies in the very fact that the atithyam, the concept of hospitality from LUGI, has been very good, and as guests we all enjoy as much as what the hosts enjoy, so thanks for that. The topic that we have chosen for the day is very much based on the concept and the tagline that you have had: rejuvenate, learning is earning. Idile sila vaarthaigal vandu Tamil la sonna better. English is a beautiful language, but at times you also find it very cynical because you don't pronounce it the way you write. That's the first thing. Second thing, the grammatical rules are really confusing and complex. It's not simple. Namba vandu apple abdina APPLE apple. A is a vowel. AEIOU. வவல்ல ஆரம்பிக்கக்கூடிய வார்த்தைகளுக்கு முன்னாடி an indefinite article an போடணுங்கிறது ரென் அண்ட் மார்ட்டின்னு ரெண்டு மகாத்மாக்கள் அந்த காலத்தில் ரூல் எழுதி வச்சுட்டு போயிருக்கா. So they have said you'll have to add an before such words. So give me an apple a day keeps a doctor away, so on and so forth. Umbrella, this is an umbrella, please take the umbrella, because umbrella starts with you, so you say an umbrella. But the beauty is, university, it starts with you. What do you say? A or an? The option is just two. You don't need Aravind Swami to ask this. So what is that you're going to choose between A and an? A. Why? It starts with you. It starts with a vowel, right? Very good. The pronunciation is not that of you. See, umbrella அப்படினா university ன்னு சொல்லணும். You start with university, which means you start with Y. Y is a consonant. So English states, then you'll have to use A. So the beauty of English lies in it being very complex and at times being very illogical. And அதனால நம்ம Indian languages யூஸ் பண்ணா is much better. At the same time, we also need to acknowledge that this world is getting really unified. Maybe ஒரு 200 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி you had Tamil people concentrating in and around Tamil Nadu. You barely had somebody in Manipur, you barely had somebody in Arunachal Pradesh, a Tamil person speaking. But today, with whatever little travel experience I have, I walk by in Melbourne after my lecture, and Melbourne lavanda some person tells me, the person who has hosted me, he takes me along the road and he shows me one building. The building looks good, fairly decent, maintained well. He tells, look at this building, sir, with all that delight, you know articulation is the key of public speaking. So he said, look at this building, sir. So I looked at the building, it was fine, it was good. Then I asked, what is something special about this building? He said, it's 50 years old, one of the oldest buildings in our country. I thought my grandmother's house is 100 years old. So in India, the word 100 and 1000 is just used like this. You go to any remote village in Tamil Nadu on the banks of Kaveri, the priest in that temple will casually say, idu 2500 varsham. You know, most countries did not exist 200 years before. And we are talking about 2500 years. That's where we need to understand, recognize and acknowledge that as a country, see, the word India is a very new word, but as such, when I take India, in and around we take Bangladesh, Pakistan, parts of Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Burma, and to some extent Sri Lanka. This entire region is a very ancient region of an ancient civilization. So literature becomes our core. Literature is our key. Literature is our asset. Literature is our national treasure. Just to give you a small glimpse of what literature is, 1000 years back we had the Arabic scholar coming from Saudi Arabia called Al-Biruni. அவர் முழு இந்தியாவில் சஞ்சாரம் பண்ணி இண்டிகான்னு 2 புஸ்தகங்கள் எழுதியிருக்கார். That's in Arabic, that's been translated to English. He tells, look at me in a country where people outside their houses, திண்ணை பேச்சுன்னு பேரு, நீங்க அந்த காலத்துலலாம் heritage house will have a mittam tavaram and it will have a கூடம் and will have a திண்ணை outside. You know, in civil engineering, திண்ணை is an architectural marvel. Why? Because you have got 2 raised elevated platforms outside the house. வீட்டுக்கு வெளியில 2 platform இருக்கு. So if somebody comes, you can make them sit there, talk with them there and send them off. You don't have to bring them inside the house at all. Isn't this an architectural marvel? See, somebody comes inside your house, you'll be confused as to how to entertain this person. Imagine you've got a platform outside the house, you don't have to get that person inside at all. So this is an architectural marvel come from some great mortal. Nevertheless, திண்ணை பேச்சுன்னு இருக்கு. திண்ணை பேச்சுன்னா பொதுவா ரொம்ப வம்பு, controversy, you know what he was wearing, what she was wearing, you know what he said. This is called திண்ணை பேச்சு. But this Al-Biruni states 1000 years back, he tells, in India, he calls it Hindu region. The Hindu is around the Indus region, so he comes along till Madhya Pradesh and he tells, வீட்டு வாசல்ல திண்ணை பேச்சு is so scientific. See, people were talking about atoms outside their house. Imagine the treasure that we have as a country. It's unimaginable. So there, in my speech, I need to mention about this beautiful state, Kerala, because this is our hosting state. just above Ernakulam. You go a few kilometers, you find the airport area. You go further northwards, you find this very ancient town called Thrissur. And you go east of Thrissur, you find a very, very well-known, renowned, small but yet bustling temple town called as Guruvayur. And in 1587, around 400 years back, there was a Sanskrit poet called as Narayana Bhattadri. He tells where he is from. Bhukhande, Kerala ke, Sarita Nihanilam, Uttare, Naivanava, Sampada, Vyutamatne, Punaruparinava, Gramanamni, Svadhamni. I come from the northern banks of a river called Bharadapura near Tirunavai, which is on the way to Kuttipuram. He tells all this. He composes a beautiful work in Sanskrit with 1034 verses, 1034 verses. And at the end of it, the last verses, don't worry if you don't understand the meaning. My aim is to bring the crux of the material and not to literally translate what is there word to word. Ajñātvā te mahatvam yadiha nigaditam vishvanatha kshamethaha stotram chaitat sahastrottaram adhikataram tvatprasada abhibhuyat dvedha narayaniyam shrutishu cha janusha stutyata varnanena svitam leelaavataraihi iha miha kurutam ayuhu arogya saukhyam. So he tells, what is the benefit? See, as people who are carrying the concept of insurance forward, you know how to convince your client with the concept of benefit. See, people generally ask, what is the benefit of this? I do this, I pay. Well, that's a simple process. What do I get in return? So he tells, you read this work, you will get Ayuhu Arogya Saukhyam. Ayuhu, you will have a long lifetime. You will be earning more pension than the salary that you've earned. So Ayuhu Arogya Saukhyam. So all that you will be suffering is from good health and nothing else. So you will be suffering from good health, Arogya Saukhyam. Ayuhu, you will have a long lifetime. Even you don't have to look at your palms to check how long or how many millimeters or centimeters is that Ayu Rekha. You'll be very hale and healthy. That's the concept that he's trying to bring. So as a person who has written, he tries to sell his concept. But the beauty lies in the word Ayuhu Arogya Saukhyam. See, in certain languages, especially in Sanskrit, every letter has a digit. It has got a number assigned. A, U, Ra, Ro, Gya, Saukhyam. Every letter has a number. For example, if you take Ya, Ra, La, Va, Ra is 2, Pa, Pa, Ba, Bha, Ma is 5. So he tells Ayuhu, he takes the number for every letter. He multiplies it with the units place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place, and arrives at a number which is like 17,10,348. That's the number. And you apply it in the software, you'll get to know the day on which the day on which he completed that work. So it corresponds to 27th November 1587. So in this word, which means you will be blessed with good health, he has also coded what is the date on which he has completed. So you've got various such things happening in our country. You've got the concept of Pythagoras theorem, which is about the square of the hypotenuse being the sum of the squares of the other two sides in a right angle triangle, brought out in a very beautiful fashion 750 years before by a person called Vedanta Deshika. So the concept lies in us appreciating and at least understanding that we belong to a very, very, very rich country. See, I'm sure when most of you, when you travel abroad, or when I travel abroad, at certain instances I find, this way our country is lagging. You know, when you look at the roads in certain countries, you feel, oh my goodness, why can't our country be as good as this? When people follow traffic rules, you think, okay, why can't people follow in our country? When people don't honk, you're there for 2 months in US, you will never hear the honk sound, and here all that you hear is the honk sound, and that is when you start repenting, why can't our country be like this? Which is fair. This is how we want our country to be. Well, in certain areas like infrastructure, pollution, smog, this and that, we are lagging. We need lots of improvement. But in terms of a civilization, in terms of literature that our country is blessed with, there's nothing that can match. I can tell you with fullest of the confidence, while I was there in Indonesia, after 2 days of lectures at my place, the driver drove me. He said, you're always delivering lectures. I want to take you around Jakarta. And he did not know the language in which I spoke. Neither did I know the language in which he spoke. But we still spoke with each other. He spoke in a language called Bhasa. And I spoke in Tamil, I spoke in Hindi. You know, India as being many language country. I tried speaking in every other language, but the beauty was he understood what I said. So he took me on the roads, and then he took me to the largest mall in Jakarta. And he said, "Sir, name?" I was like, "I am Dhushyanth." No, look at the mall's name. It was written Ayodhya Mall. And he showed me another mall. It was written Sita Mall. And he went down of his car and he performed his namaz. He came back and I said, "I'm so happy that you're following the principles. I'm so happy. What's your name?" I didn't know his name. He said, "My name is Aditya." And that's when I realized he knew much more in Ramayana than what I knew. So that's when I thought, well, he was like talking about Jambavan, he was talking about characters. I was like, how did you know all this? He tells, my grandmother used to tell me all this. So our country's stories, our country's literature has percolated everywhere. Tamil la ungalku solanamna திருப்பாவை ஐயைந்துமைந்து மரியாத மானிடரை வையம் சுமப்பதும் வம்பு என்பது திருப்பாவையின் சாற்றுமுறை பாசுரம். ஆண்டாள் கடைசி 2 பாசுரங்கள், சிற்றஞ்சிறுகாலே வந்துன்னை சேவித்து உன் பொத்தாமலரடியே போற்றும் பொருள்கேளாய் பெற்றம்மை துண்ணும் குலத்தில் பிறந்து நீ குற்றேவல் எங்களை கொள்ளாமல் போகாது. This is 29. 30th is வங்கக் கடல் கடைந்த மாதவனை கேசவனை திங்கள் திருமுகத்து சேரிழையார் சென்றிரைஞ்சி அங்கு அப்பறை கொண்ட வாற்றை அணிபுதுவை பைங்கமல தந்திரியில் பட்டர்பிரான் கோதை சொன்ன. These are the 2 pasurams in Tamil. She sings in a small town of Srivilliputturu, which is more famous for the Palkova than the Gopuram. Now, she sings it years back, millenniums back, and today in Thailand, whoever is the next king, the king's surname is Raman in Thailand, and when the king is coronated, பட்டாபிஷேகம் நடக்கும்போது இந்த 2 பாசுரங்கள் சொல்லி தான் அங்க சாற்றுமுறை. Thailandல, whether in our Thailand we follow that or not, in that Thailand there is a concept. See, the culture has percolated. Why am I talking about culture? Why am I talking about literature? Because it's high time that as Indians we realize how much our ancestors have worked hard. See, the worst part is we as Indians are never good at marketing. You go to the US, they would have just made a small cookie. Very simple to make. You put the batter, that will be a ready-made batter. You bake that and you give. The person who eats will say, "Wonderful, too tasty." You know, the expressions will go, your mouth will go like this, "Wonderful, tasty." And in our country, my grandmother will be making something called Purulanga Urundai, which will take 2 days of time. And at the end of which, if I tell, "Party romba nanna irukku poda idella ukkandu sollinde." So she is so humble that she doesn't want to accept any kind of accolades. But there, I'm not blaming, but the concept is you do a small thing, you're appreciated. In our country, probably the saddest part is we do not know how to market. We are a great country. This is the first thought that I want to instill in our minds, because before realizing in what profession we are, we need to understand where we are. We are in the best of the countries and we can make it even more better. Now coming to the concept of rejuvenation. Can somebody tell me what is rejuvenation? Of course, there's a brochure that carries the rough meaning of what rejuvenation means in the business sense. So, but I still want people to throw in ideas, because, you know, remember, in management, words don't have specific definitions. It's the way you articulate it. Number solra vidathila dhaan the definition e amayum. In management, it's all about the art of you convincing that this is the definition. So if you can convince, that's the definition. Tomorrow somebody will write a book. This is what Mr. Somebody said in the LUGI conference way back in 2016. You know, it will become a beautiful history to discuss. So can you just add ideas about what is rejuvenation? Tamiliyum sollalam, Kannadaliyum sollalam. Puttunarchi. Next. Refreshment. So you refresh yourself, which is adding energy, which is rejuvenation. Well, other definitions. Yeah. Utsaagam. So you're talking about excitement, which is an integral part of rejuvenation. Anything else? Huh? Uruvakudal, so which is about creating or innovating, to be very exact. Excellent. Transmission. Transmission is about a small change for the good, which is slightly linked to rejuvenation. Yes. Refresh. Well, you're agreeing with your partner who also said refresh, which is very good. Kalaittuvam is the word that you've said? Tanittuvam. Okay, to maintain an individual identity or being unique. Urutti, Uruvan in Tamil. The Urutti Maganai Pirandu, Urutti Maganai Ulirthu Valarndu is a beautiful line. And we might have heard of our great actors doing Nan Ayirathil Uruvan and things like that. What does that Uruvan mean? Uruvan, Urutti doesn't mean one. It means the unique one. You take all your blood reports to the doctor sees it, head to tail, the good cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, this and that, he'll finally say, you know, ஆயிரத்தில் ஒத்தருக்கு தான் சார் இந்த மாதிரிலாம் ரிப்போர்ட் இருக்கும், you're the one. So we feel proud, நான் ஆயிரத்தில் ஒருவன். You know, that implicates that I am the unique one. So the uniqueness is what he said, tanittuvam. Yeah, anything else? A total change, a transition to something good. Marumalarchi, something which is rebirth. Restore something which is good. Well, thanks a lot. So we've got a variety of definitions which fall into rejuvenation. But what we need to look at is from the ancient perspective. Rejuvenation, I'll give you two examples. One, you know what happens is when we listen, when we keep listening, at times we may just fall asleep. So one of the ways for me to ensure that audience don't fall asleep is to speak in a basal tone and then increase it and then bring it back. You know, that kind of gives the alarm. One. Second thing, from your side, you could either record this. I don't mind you doing an audio recording of this. One. Or second thing, if you want, you can take down notes if you feel something is worth noting. See, I cannot force someone note down. When that person says that nothing is worth noting, I cannot force. But still, I cannot coax. But if you find something worth noting, you can always pass it on to your children. Remember, speeches are not catered only to one audience. It can go for a variety of audience. It can go to your child, it can go to your grandchild, it can go to your wife, it can go to your husband, it can go to your brother, it can go to a society. So the first example that we are going to look at is from Ramayanam. In Ramayanam, we have this great character called Ram. He's married to one wife, because in those days Rama was an exception, because every king will have minimum 2 or 3 wives. So they used to look down upon Rama. Hey, he's married only to one person. So he was that kind of an exception. So he was married to Sita, and they kind of lived a very happy life in Ayodhya. She was married at the age of 6. He was married at the age of 12. Had they been married now, they would have been behind the bars. You know, so at the age of 12 and 6, but very mature in their thoughts and thinking. Then she came to her husband's house, and she had a very good mother-in-law, which is also a blessing in some of the houses. So she had the best of the mother-in-laws, and then she used to comb her hair and things like that. And Sita lived with Ram very happily, because these days getting married is tougher, and staying together after marriage is even tougher. So they lived happily together, and now Rama was turning 24 to 25 and she was 18. That is when the father, Dasharatha, thought it's high time that, it seems Kalidasa, the great Sanskrit poet, tells, he went and combed his hair in front of a mirror. He noticed a single strand of grey hair, and he thought it's high time that I give the baton to my son. You know, for a single strand of grey hair, the person thinks I have to give the responsibility. Today, even though you're close to dying, you always want to die yourself and prove that you're always Sindura Puve Padinar Vaidinile. So, this person, Dasharatha, wanted to coronate his son. So he made arrangements for it. It was a very ad hoc situation. So he called his best of the charioteers, who was also a mantri. He said, come, let's make all arrangements. Make sure that all arrangements are done through check or this thing, no more cash. He said. So it was for the dark Rama, because Rama was Kariyan Oru Kalai. Rama was called the black beauty. So he said, my son can be black, not the money. So all the arrangements were made for the coronation. That is when the maid servant of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi grew up in a region which is close to Afghanistan and Pakistan called KKM. Since she belonged to KKM, she was called Kaikeyi. And her mother did not have time to nurture her own daughter, so she hired a nanny who could give her food, who could cook, who could train her. So this maid servant was called Manthara or Kuni. Kondai konda kodai meedu teen ulavu kuni koon unda unda rangavotti ul magilda nadanur is a beautiful Tamil verse that describes the hunch of Kuni. So Kuni was the maid servant. She came all the way to Ayodhya. And Kaikeyi belonged to Afghanistan, but the great sage of Kanchi called Paramacharya used to state that Kaikeyi belonged to Russia. Nevertheless, the point remains that the concept of having a foreign daughter-in-law ruling the country has been existing in the world. So Manthara came all the way to Ayodhya and she said, see, your son is not being coronated, it's somebody else's son. Do you know how to wash utensils? She said, why should I learn? Because tomorrow if Rama becomes the king, probably you may pathu paatram theka vendiya nelama vandrum. So make your son. That's when she went and forced her husband. Her husband fell prey to the accusations and the promises that he had to throw, because there's a general statement about Dasharatha. Dasharatha was a king who used to promise in haste and repent in leisure. அவசரத்துல ஏதாவது ஒரு வரம் கொடுத்துருவார், அப்புறம் ஐயோ ஏன் தான் கொடுத்தோமோ மெதுவாக உட்காந்து வருத்தப்படுவார். So he said, okay, I give you the boons. And that is when Rama was called. Plan A, you will become the king. 2 hours later he was called again. Plan B, you will not become the king, you have to go to the forest. Thank God it was Rama. Had it been Krishna, he would have filed a legal suit against Dasharatha. Dasharatha was lucky to have Rama as a son. So Rama goes to the forest with his wife Sita. They live happily in the forest. No petitions, no media, no limelight. They were very, very happy as a couple. That's when in the penultimate year, at the end of the 13th year, Shurpanaka comes. She describes the beauty of Sita to Ravana. Ravana comes and abducts her. She's being abducted. Rama starts crying. And then he goes further down to Bellary district of Karnataka, which is Kishkinda. Then he finds another person, a monkey called Sugriva, who has also lost his wife. So Sugriva does the same pinch. He says, oh, you know, my wife is also missing, so is your wife. He was very delighted about his wife missing. That is when Rama thought, in your uncertain times, you will have to have a coalition with unequal partners. So he said, okay, let's have a deal. You help in rescuing my wife, I will help in rescuing your wife. Simple. It's an MOU. Sita Kapindraha Kshanada Charanam Rajiva Hemojvalanopamani Sugrivaramah Pranaya Prasange Vamani Netrani Samam Spuranti is a beautiful verse. The interval shloka which Valmiki, as a director of the movie called Ramayana, describes. So that's when Sugriva's wife is restored. Further down, he tells, okay, I delegate my teams to go in search of Sita. So there's a north team, there's a south team, there's a east team, there's a west team. So he throws a huge map and he tells the monkeys, okay, this is the road, this is called North Usman Road, this is called the South Usman Road, this is the Bazulla Road, this is the Vivek Signal, this is the Venkat Narayana Road, this is Outer Ring Road of Bangalore, where if you're caught, you'll be caught forever. So, you know, he tries describing road after road, and Rama was kind of surprised. How can a person know the road's name, distance, way in, way out, by heart? Sugriva, you're a very intelligent man, he said. Sugriva said, you know, I'm not that intelligent. I have passed all my examinations with arrears. But the beauty lies in me knowing the roads, because these were the roads in which my brother Vali chased me. So I know each of these roads very well. That's when he tells Hanuman, you need to go down south. And Hanuman goes with an odd man out. All of them are monkeys. One of the odd monkeys out was Hanuman. Hanuman was a very cultured, civilized, educated monkey. So then there was this Jambavan, very age-old character who has been overliving for generations. So this Jambavan is there, and there are other monkeys. So they all go down south. Terkku pogumbodhu, they see a vulture called Sampati. Sampati tells, ingendu doorakendu paatha oru 100 yojana distance, it's 100 yojanas. So whichever monkey can manage jumping or flying can do it. So one monkey said, see, I'm a big Rio kind of Olympics participator, so I can do it for 10 yojanas. One says 20, one says 50, there's no use. There's one who says 100, but he happens to tell that I can jump, but I won't have the stamina to come back. So every monkey tried to get out of it, nobody could do it. That's when Jambavan turns towards this educated, cultured, humble monkey called Hanuman. He tells Hanuman, you can do it. You're too powerful. But the beauty is you don't understand your own potential. You have a power to do it, but I am sure you can do it. So you should be sure that you can do it. When I am sure, as a third person, as a second person, you as a first person should be sure that you can do it. That's when Hanuman recognizes what all power he has and he starts flying. So this has a very beautiful... See, when we listen to Puranas and we listen to stories, people will ask, korangu pesita. Korangu tavita. See, that's not the point that we have to take in. Whether monkeys can fly or not is a different thing. That there could be a fantasy element to it. People could have exaggerated, but what we need to understand is motivation is what is the first step to rejuvenation. When you motivate, I heard many of the speakers say that nobody else can motivate but yourself, which is very true. At times when you have external motivation, that adds to it, no doubt. But remember that realizing one's potential, like how Hanuman did upon receiving the words of Jambavan, is the first, the primary and the most important step of rejuvenation. But rejuvenation doesn't stop there. I motivate some person. Unnal mudiyum thambi and the paatalla nanna paadren. But unnal mudiyum na, the person should first understand where he stands. That is the second example we are going to take for rejuvenation, which is nothing but Krishna and Arjuna. See, Bhagavad Gita has been explained in various formats. Krishna standing. You know, if I say Krishna standing, nobody understands in most of my lectures. I should say N.T. Ramarao standing, then they can understand, oh, N.T. Ramarao is standing. So N.T. Ramarao stands and whoever is the Arjuna listens to it, and this is the Bhagavad Gita that we have been taught. But Bhagavad Gita can be explained in a very, very simple sense. You ask a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old child, you call the child, Ikami. The child will stand upon the bench and will show the teeth. There are 2 rows of tiny, tiny milk teeth. You take a brush and you start brushing the child's teeth. The child notices how you brush, and the next day the child starts brushing by itself. Simple. 3-4 years later, maybe 5 years later, when the child is in class 1, the science teacher comes inside the class. Good morning, children. Good morning, miss. You know why we brush our teeth every morning? No, miss. You know, when you brush your teeth, your germs will go away. So, first was the karma, the work, the action, which is brushing. Next came the jnanam, which is associated with it, why you brush. Years later, the child will want to brush properly with lot of interest. Yeno danonu pallu tekame, tekkanam, olunga tekkanam nenekkirathu, that is bhakti. So these are the stages of Bhagavad Gita where the Lord tells, do an action, have the knowledge of why you are performing that action, along with that action and knowledge, do it with a passion. So there is karma, there is jnanam, and there is bhakti. This becomes a very, very important part in any profession that we take. Be it any profession, you could be a doctor, you could be an engineer, you could be an accountant. But what keeps you apart from others is when you realize and recognize what you are actually doing. That's very, very important. If you can't, then you can never rejuvenate yourself. This is rejuvenation. But what is learning is earning. See, earning is a major part which you are all working towards, which I am working towards. So earning money is an integral part. But retaining what is earned is what is learning. See, the concept of provident fund, PF, starts in every company where you get a salary of X, and there's a small portion called X1 which your employer catches and tells, I will not give this. This is your money. I'm not going to give you. I will give you when you're about to retire, because that's when you need this money. So he's so confident that we will never end up saving. That's why he saves for us. So when you are about to retire, when one is about to retire, he accumulates this X1, 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 and finally tells this is the provident fund. In the earning is what happens in knowledge too. For example, I'm sure all of you are here to somewhere share ideas, to learn ideas, and you're sitting through the lectures. In the lecture, you're going back home. But the beauty about lectures is, this is a general observation that I've made. லெக்சரில் உட்காரும்போது ஒன்று புரிகிற மாதிரி இருக்கும், நன்னாவே புரிகிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஆனால் எழுந்து அந்த லெக்சர் முடிக்கும்போது எழுந்துக்கும்போது என்னமோ புரிஞ்சா மாதிரி இருக்கும். And when we go back home, கேட்டா மாதிரி இருக்குமோ என்னமோ. So these are the stages, because knowledge becomes very volatile. Unless and until one retains that knowledge, earning can never transform into learning. This is a very, very important concept. But how do we understand learning and how do we understand earning? There's a beautiful verse by Krishna which has been adopted by LIC. I'm sure when you see the tagline, which is Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, the verse goes thus: Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Yogam Kshemam. கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா அந்த வார்த்தை? Yogam Kshemam. What is Yogam? Yogam has nothing to do with yoga. Then Ramdev has to come and speak. Yogam is Ulagam. Yogam is bird. Lokam is Ulagam. Yogam. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Yogam. Wealth. Okay. Kshemam? Nalam. So wealth is Nalam. அப்படின்னு வருது அர்த்தம் எப்படி? யோக க்ஷேமம் வஹாமியகம் இல்லையா? யோகம் தான் க்ஷேமம் நாங்கள் சொல்லலை. யோகம் க்ஷேமம் யோக க்ஷேமம் வஹாமியகம். See, in Sanskrit you'll have to be very careful the way you split words. ஒன்றுமே இல்லை. இப்போ த்விஜஹா அப்படின்னு வடமொழியில் ஒரு வார்த்தை இருக்கு. த்விஜஹா. த்விஜஹா அப்படின்னா த்வினா ரெண்டு, ஜனா பிறக்கிறது. எது ரெண்டு வாட்டி பிறக்கின்றதோ அதுக்கு த்விஜஹான்னு பேர். The tooth is referred to as Dvijaha in Sanskrit. You know why? ஏன்னா பிறக்கும்போது கொஞ்சம் வளர வரைக்கும் ஒரு 6-7 வயசு வரைக்கும் milk teeth இருக்கும். Then the milk teeth starts falling and you get the permanent teeth. So there's a stage 1 birth, stage 2 birth. Since it is born twice, Dvirjayate, the tooth is referred to as Dvijaha. Incidentally, when you look at Dvijaha in a bird is also called Dvijaha. Why? In zoology, பிரிக்கும்போது உயிரினங்களை ஓவி பாரஸ் விவி பாரஸ்னு பிரிப்போம். ஓவி பாரஸ்னா எது தாய்கிட்டேருந்து முட்டையா வந்து முட்டையிலேருந்து குஞ்சு வருகின்றதோ இந்த அதுக்கு ஓவி பாரஸ்னு பேர். நம்மளாம் விவி பாரஸ், அம்மா வந்து முட்டையை போட்டு நம்மளை பிறக்க வைக்கல, டைரக்டா அம்மா கிட்டேருந்து பிறந்துட்டோம். ஸோ வி ஆர் ஆல் விவி பாரஸ். Birds are oviparous. Since there's a 2-stage process, bird is also called Dvijaha. So how do we recognize whether this Dvijaha is the tooth or the bird? Based on the context. For example, give me peace அப்படின்னா spelling of peace என்ன? PEACE. Give me a peace. PIECE. எப்படி கண்டுபிடிச்ச இந்த peace? ஒரே pronunciation தானே. How did you recognize? Give me peace. Give me a peace. The sentence is the same. Context. What is important in that context? The word a. பீஸ் நிம்மதினா எனக்கு ஒரு நிம்மதியை கொடுங்கள் அப்படின்னு கேட்க மாட்டோம். a peace. Whereas when you ask for a noun peace, you ask for a peace. So context வச்சு கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். So every language is like that. Now when I have to understand yoga kshemam, remember this is a very important thing. I'm sure you're all stalwarts and pioneers in LIC, but the most important part is when we recognize what is yoga kshemam. Yogam கிடைக்காதது கிட்டினால் அது யோகம், கிடைத்தது தங்கினால் அது க்ஷேமம். This is the definition for yoga kshemam. கிடைக்காதது கிட்டினால் யோகம், கிடைத்தது தங்கினால் க்ஷேமம். கிடைக்காதது எது? ஞானம், learning. So that you have to earn. First you earn, which is யோகம். கிடைக்காதது கிட்டினால் அது யோகம், earning. கிடைத்தது தங்க வேண்டும், அது learning, which is க்ஷேமம். So earning is learning is yoga kshemam vahamyaham. What constitutes this learning process is when you pave your sense organs as clear and unadulterated as possible. Let me make it simple. புலன்கள் அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, இந்திரியங்கள். வசே விதாய பஞ்சகம் புமான்ஹி கூர்மவத்ததஹ சமஷ்ணுதே மகாபலம் ஸ்வசப்த ஜன்ம சம்பவம் இஸ் a beautiful proverb. ஐம்புலன்கள், ஐந்திலே ஒன்று பெற்றார் அஞ்சிலே ஒன்றை தாவி அஞ்சிலே ஒன்றை ஆறாக ஆரியூர்க்காக ஏகி அஞ்சிலே ஒன்று பெற்ற அனங்கை கண்டு அயலார் ஊரில் அஞ்சிலே ஒன்று வைத்தான். So here you talk of 5 elements constituted with 5 sense organs. See, sense organs are the ways which is very, very important for us to learn. ஒன்றுமே இல்லை, இப்போ வந்து we are in a very packed room, closed room, very nice room. Imagine the doors were open and somebody is making masal vada outside. Okay, for those Bangaloreans who are here from my city, so somebody is making masal dosa. And what will happen when the masal dosa is really a good masal dosa? How do you recognize there's a masal dosa? Smell. So what happens is, மூக்குனால தான் இப்போ பிரச்சனை. Now I'm delivering a lecture. What happens is your nose is diverting you from what you listen. Imagine that there's a huge screen behind and they are playing the scenes from Kabali and I'm speaking. நான் பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன், பின்னாடி கபாலி. What will happen? Your eyes will start going towards it. How much ever நான் என்னென்னவோ தமிழ் எல்லாம் போட்டு முத்தைத்தரு பத்தி திருநகை எல்லாம் கண்ணா அப்படின்னா சாலமன் பாப்பையா பட்டிமன்றம் மாதிரி பேசுகிறேன், ஆனால் nobody may even recognize because you've got something to watch. So your eyes go behind something that you can watch. Your nose goes behind something you can smell. Imagine I'm having hot jamuns here, கோவா. ஒன்றுமே இல்லை, எங்கள் சம்பிரதாயத்தில் வந்து அக்கார வடிசல்னு பண்ணுவா. I don't know if you've heard of that sweet. I'll give you a very good recipe of that. You can always try it yourself, or if your wife is cooperative, you can ask her to try as well. So it's like you'll have to steam rice and cereals together. பருப்பியும் சாதத்தையும் ஒன்றா வேக வைக்கணும். அது எப்படி வேக வைக்கணும்? பாதி ஜலம் பாதி க்ஷீரம் பால் நல்லா மசிய வேக வைக்கணும். ஏன்னா வேறையாக வேக வச்சுவிட்டா இங்கே மாட்டின்னு அவர் யோகக்ஷேமம் வகாமியகம். ஸோ அதனால் you'll have to mash it really well and then you'll have to condense milk on one side. Condensed milk இதில் ஆட் பண்ணி then you'll have to add jaggery and you'll have to add badam and cashew in the ratio of ஒரு அரிசி பருப்புக்கு ஒரு பாதாம், அந்த ரேஷியோவில் போடணும். இதில் நெய் சேர்க்கக்கூடாது. என்னென்னா இதை நெய்யில் சேர்க்கணும். You're getting the difference. So you will see a lot of people, the family members enjoying the insurance benefit when one person consumes like this. So என்ன ஆழ்வாரே சொல்றார், நெய்யிடை நல்லதோர் ஷோரும் நியதமும் அத்தாணி சேவகமும். So he tells நெய்யிடை ஷோரு. He doesn't tell ஷோரிடை நெய், நெய்யிடை ஷோரு. So take a big barrel of ghee, heat it and then add this to it. And imagine whether you can go by the highway or the bypass. That's your point. But this is an akara vadisal. So if I keep that sweet in front of you, the tongue is what that kind of waggers. It's about to just taste. The technical Tamil word is jollu. When I tried giving an English lecture outside our country in Kenya, I had to bring this jollu word there. So I said jollu. Person asked, he was Stephen from the African countries, what is jollu? See, I said, I cannot translate it because jollu is not saliva. Echil is not jollu. Jollu is that saliva which wants to taste that but is not able to and starts dripping. So, ஒரு ஜொல்லு வார்த்தைக்கு நான் எவ்வளவு எக்ஸ்பிளனேஷன் கொடுக்க வேண்டியதா இருக்கு. So that's why I said, at times English fails. At times English fails. Nevertheless, but we are still using this language. So, here you've got sense organs going behind. If one can control that sense organs, then you become a better learner. That's very, very important. சாப்பிட்ருக்கோம், தூக்கம் வருது, லெக்சர் கேட்கும்போது கேட்டால் நன்னா இருக்குமேன்னு தோன்றது, but you're not able to control that sleep, then you're losing it out somewhere. If you've got something worthwhile to listen, but that's why I generally don't prefer to take up into PowerPoint presentations, because the attention is slightly diverted to what is there on the screen. It's not bad, but it still diverts. So being a very, very good learner implies that you need to know how and when to control the sense organs. One. Second is communication skills. I'll just take a few minutes off from the topic to understand what communication skills is. Communication skill எப்படி பேசணும் அப்படிங்கிறது எல்லா ப்ரொஃபஷன்லையுமே முக்கியம். டாக்டர்லேருந்து, ஆடிட்டர்லேருந்து, பப்ளிக் ஸ்பீக்கர்லேருந்து, டீச்சர்லேருந்து, மதர், ஃபாதர்லேருந்து, you should know how to convince. How do we know? For this, I'll just give you a beautiful incident from Ramayana which you all should relish. Hanuman is an educated monkey. See, you go to a zoo, Vandalur zoo க்கு போறோம். எந்த நம்பிக்கையில போறோம்? அங்க வந்து நம்மளை விட குறைச்சலா படிச்ச, குறைச்சலா ஞானம் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஜந்துக்களை பார்க்கறோங்கிற நம்பிக்கையில போறோம். We go there, stand before a cage. There are many monkeys inside. You're holding the bars of the cage. The monkey is confused whether we are inside the jail or it is inside. Yeah. So I hold the bars. There's a monkey that comes. Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sarvashatru Vinashanam அப்படின்னு சொல்றதுன்னு வெச்சுக்கோங்களேன். I will run out of fear out of Vandalur Zoo. See, my concept of a monkey is very wavering. It can never make decisions. It can never speak. It can never understand. This is my understanding. Imagine a monkey being very educated. That was the position of Hanuman. But Hanuman is going to meet Rama and Lakshmana now. So he cannot take himself in a monkey form. So he disguises himself in the human form and he goes before Rama. And he tells, Ayatascha Suvrittascha Bahavaha Parigopamaha. You're very handsome, you've got lotus-like eyes. அதெல்லாம் அந்த காலத்தில் டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் உண்டு. அழகிய நிலா, இது தீபாவளி கல்கி மலரில் வரும். ஏன்னா அந்த கல்கியில் தீபாவளி மலர்னு தனியாக போடுவா. அதில் வந்து கோபால் ஹேமாவை அழைத்து கொண்டு தீபாவளி இரவு மொட்டை மாடிக்கு சென்றான். ஹேமா, அதோ தெரிகின்ற முழு நிலவை பார்த்தாயா? அம்மாவாசை ராத்திரி தீபாவளி. இவர் எங்கே நிலாவெல்லாம் விடுவார்? அதனால see, it happens that if you are a poet, you will have to bring that full moon, you will have to bring those பவழத்தை ஒத்த உதடுகளை கூடியவளே, சந்திரனை ஒத்த திருமுகத்தோடு கூடியவளே, இப்படிலாம் டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் கொடுக்க வேண்டியதாக இருக்கும். ஸோ ஹனுமான் goes and he tells you are so beautiful, you are handsome. 2-3 வரிகள் சொல்கிறார். சொன்ன உடனே ராமர் turns towards Lakshmana and tells 6 verses about what communication skills are. நான்ருக்வேத வினீதஸ்ய நாயஜுர் வேத தாரிணஹ நா சாமவேத விதுஷஹ சக்யமேவம் பிரபாஷித்தும் நூனம் வியாக்கரணம் கிருத்ஸ்னம் அனேன பகுதாஸ்ருதம் பகுவ்யாஹரதானேன ந கிஞ்சித் அபசப்திதம். He tells Lakshmana, look at the way this person has spoken. எப்படி பேசுறான் பார். He is neither too fast. ரொம்ப வேகமாக பேசக்கூடாது கம்யூனிகேஷன் ஸ்கில்ஸில். வந்து கேட்டிருக்கீங்க சார், சொல்லிட்டு see, when you speak fast, you are having a conception that the person will not understand and will not ask questions. You should never use that technique. வேகமாக பேசக்கூடாது. அதுக்காக மெதுவாக யோசித்து பேசணுங்கிறதுக்காக ரொம்ப மெதுவாக பேசிவிட்டா அதுவும் கஷ்டம். உங்களுக்கு நான் இப்படி பேசிட்டு இருந்தார்னா எப்போ முடிப்பார்? ஸோ இட் ஷுட் neither be too fast nor too slow. You should not scream. Vartate madhyame sware. It should be at a pitch where people can relish, understand and enjoy. ரொம்ப கீழியும் இருக்கக்கூடாது, நான் உங்களுக்கு அப்படியும் இருக்கக்கூடாது, ரொம்ப மேலேயும் இருக்க. See, communication skills is not easy. நான் பேசுகிறபடி தான் பேசுவேன்னா பேசுகிறபடி பேசலாம், கேட்குறவா இருக்கணுமே. So communication skills is something that we need to customize and tailor. Third important thing, you need to make an eye contact. All this is mentioned in Ramayana. It is called Bhashana Kaushalam, how to speak. See, today we pay lakhs together for a business school. Go sit, the professor will come, make an eye contact. 11 லட்சம் அந்த கோர்ஸ்க்கு கட்டுறோம். ராமாயண உபன்யாசம் நான் சொல்லுவேன், ஐ கான்டாக்ட். ஐயோ ராமாயணம் சொல்கிறார், இதில் என்ன இருக்க போகிறது? See, we believe that something that comes for free doesn't have a value, and when we pay lakhs together, it will have a bigger value. So we need to make sure that we make an eye contact. That's very important. Generally, when I listen to people, they'll say, sir, everything is fine. ஆனால் ஸ்டேஜ் ஏறினா கொஞ்சம் பயமாக இருக்குது, எல்லாரும் எப்படி ரியாக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. Don't worry, look at them, they'll stop yawning. Look at them, they will start noticing you. Look at them, they will not look anywhere else. They should fear you, we should not fear them. So this is an integral part of communication skills. Next, you need to use the right word. For that, manasa vacha karmana. When you think, you speak. Don't do 2 things simultaneously. That thinking and speaking la ஒரு மைரழ வித்தியாசம் இருக்கணும். When you think while you are speaking, you will make mistakes. ஐயோ சார் யோசிக்காமல் சொல்லிட்டேன் சார், மன்னிக்கணும். Your thinking and speaking should differ by 0.5 seconds. யோசிச்சதை பேசணும், ஆனால் ரொம்ப டைம் எடுக்கக்கூடாது. This has to come with practice. See, I still remember after my education in Pilani, Birla Institute of Technology and Science in Rajasthan, when I came down to Bombay, I had to do my internship. கார்த்தால 9 மணிலேருந்து சாயங்காலம் 5 மணி வரைக்கும் போய் லெபார்ட்டரியில் வேலை பார்க்கணும். அண்ட் சண்டே டு சாட்டர்டேல 7 நாளில் 6 நாள் நான் சாயங்காலம் 5:30லேருந்து 9:30 மணி இங்கிலீஷ் போய் கற்றுக் கொடுப்பேன். டோம்பிவில்லிங்கிற ஒரு இடம் பாம்பேயில், அங்கே போய் கற்றுக் கொடுப்பேன். ஒரு நாள் ஃப்ரீ. என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னு தெரியல. I didn't have a television, so I did not know what to do. So that's when I thought, let me teach something. So there were many Marwari people in that region, Shahad region, per Kalyan Pakatla. So I put a notice adichi, put a Sanskrit shlokas being taught. 4 hours, 2 hours வந்து உட்காந்துக்கலாமே. I was surprised. நிறைய அட்வர்டைஸ் பண்ணி பேப்பருக்குள்ள இன்சர்ட் எல்லாம் வச்சு கிளாஸ்க்கு போனால் ஒத்தர் இல்லை. And I was like very sad, ஒத்தர் கூட வரமாட்டாளா அப்படின்னு. So then I went and spoke to the MD there. He said, ஸ்லோகம் கற்று தர போகிறேன் அப்படின்னு எழுதினேளே, கீழே அதனால் என்ன பெனிஃபிட்டுன்னு எழுதினீங்களா அப்படின்னு கேட்டார். ஸோ தட்ஸ் வென் கம்யூனிகேஷன் பிகம்ஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். தட்ஸ் வென் ஐ செட் benefit. Wealth will pour inside your house. There were 100 people the next day. But I did not stay for the entire tenure because they would have come and hit me if wealth did not pour inside their house. So I did not stay till they enjoyed the benefit. The point remains that as human beings, we all want to enjoy benefits. So when you have to communicate benefits to a person, communication skills become very, very, very important. இங்கிலீஷில் தான் இருக்கணுங்கிறது இல்லை, தமிழ்லையும் இருக்கலாம், கன்னடாலையும் இருக்கலாம். whichever language you take, make sure that the language you speak uses the right words. ந கிஞ்சித்து அபசப்திதம், வேண்டாத வார்த்தை, வேண்டாத வரிகள் இதெல்லாம் போடவே கூடாது. So this comes with practice. So communication skills also become an integral part of learning. Next, the most important part of learning, which is rejuvenation, is ethics. Ethics is something that you find at times very worrying and sad when you look at the news. Ipalla news channels are plenty. Written, print, visual media, audio media is plenty. So you keep on hearing. So there's no way that you can escape. Or you see one person at 9 p.m. in the night calling 10 people together, shouting at one voice. இல்லையா 10 பேரை ஒன்றா கூப்பிட்டு எல்லாரும் ஒரே சமயத்தில் 1 hour கத்தின்னு இருப்பா. யார் என்ன கத்துறான்னு தெரியாது. ஆனால் this is how news channels work. But the point remains in trying to understand what is ethics. You find various cases, without mentioning any of them, some could be under trial, some could be under the judicial process. Mother kills her own daughter. Is this somewhere that you can expect a mother to have a child she struggles to have, and every day of her gestation period passes by understanding இந்த குழந்தை எப்படி இருக்குன்னு. அந்த பெத்த குழந்தைய ஒரு அம்மா கொல்றா அப்படின்னா what is the ethics left? When you see a father misbehaving with his own daughter, where is ethics? So education may have a strong role to play in the character building, but education alone doesn't make that character building. It is also the way in which we have been brought up. நம்மை வளர்த்த விதம் becomes very, very important. That is where ethics play a very, very major role in rejuvenation. For this, I would like to give you 2 examples. One example is that of Arjuna. Arjuna was a hero of his times. You know how big he was a hero? All women used to have a cutout poster of Arjuna in their bedrooms, and they used to keep dreaming about whether he'll become my husband. He was that kind of a hero, a very all-charming, very athletic, 6 abs, all, those kind of a gym body, very, very built, and a very handsome person. So all women used to keep dreaming about him.